So hello and welcome to the Dharma Life podcast. I'm your host, Aloise.life, and this week I want to invite you to my Follow Your Highest Excitement Challenge. I'm going to be running a 4-day challenge in my Facebook group. The link is in the section under the YouTube video. Please come and join us. Now is an incredible time on the planet to be building a 5D life in alignment with your soul. And it's much easier to do that with like-minded, conscious community around you. So please come and join the Follow Your Highest Excitement Challenge. You won't regret it. It's a high vibrational community of people changing the world, doing their Dharma, making a difference, and living in this new 5D energy. You will be absolutely blown away with the life that you can create. If you can believe it, you can create it. Believing is seeing. So hello and welcome to the Dharma Life podcast. I'm your host, Aloise.life. And this week I talked to Mark Attwood. He is an old friend. And when I say an old friend, it's because we've known each other in past lives. We've never actually met, but he's one of those people that I felt like I've known forever. And I tested and we had lives together in Atlantis. And he asked to interview me. He is very much on the truth spectrum. He has his own channel. He asked to interview me and more around ascension and what is happening on the planet right now from a more spiritual perspective. So I don't usually put interviews up, but this was a really, really nice interview and you get to hear a lot more about me that you guys might not know. So I thought it would be worthwhile sharing with you. So please, when you listen, please do tag me and let me know what you thought.
Hello, welcome. This is Mark Attwood and I'm joined today by Aloise.life. Hello.
Very good, very good. Yes, hello. Lovely to be with you, sir.
Oh, I was really nervous. I thought I'm going to mispronounce this. I'm going to say it very slowly.
And it's so funny, isn't it? We've kind of online known each other for a long time. And when I jumped on, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm talking to an old friend. And, you know, already we've got that had many lifetimes together. So no wonder, but we've never met.
No, well, I'm finding that happening a huge amount for me at the moment. People are just coming out of the woodwork, and people online, but also people in real life. And it's like, hi, yeah, how you doing? Long time.
Yeah, it's so familiar, isn't it? It's so familiar, these people.
Soul tribes, is it? Is that what you call it?
Soul family, yeah, I suppose in the woo-woo world, which is where I live. Yeah, you'd call it a soul family, soul tribe, or just part of past lifetimes, really, that you've had together.
Well, I've not actually met you physically, but I have looked at your work and I've seen your work, and you're doing some amazing stuff from what I can see. And there's a very good vibration off you. And maybe start by explaining what it is that you actually do, because I know you talk about helping people get to 5D. And 5D's, I wanted to speak to you also about the word Dharma, but we'll come to that in a minute. But 5D is something that's really starting to become a reality for me. And we'll talk about that. But how did you get to this place where you help people do this?
Well, my whole life fell apart, actually, which is how I got here.
Why is that always the way everybody I speak to? Yeah, well, I had this massive, terrible thing happen, and then boom.
Yeah, I started about 21. I had a nervous breakdown at 21. And then drug and alcohol problems, 21 to 28. Chronic depression was floating up out of my body. Just didn't really want to be here, to be honest with you, and then used recreational drugs, had quite a healthy cocaine habit. And of course, when I was taking drugs, I felt great and I felt connected. And actually, what I realize now, looking back, is obviously when we take when we drink or when we take drugs of some form, all our chakras open and we feel this oneness and this connection with something higher. And of course, that actually was what I was seeking. But I didn't really understand it then. So I developed a very healthy cocaine habit during my corporate days, held down a very good job. I was a board director of a recruitment business in the city, first female on the board. But inside I was dying. You know, I like that career and that job for a long time because I was helping people. And then we were bought out by a venture capitalist and they just wanted to make money. And it was soulless and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I stayed in that job probably for about 2 years too late. But at the same time was kind of having a spiritual awakening. And my spiritual awakening led me down many, many rabbit holes. One of my best friends at the time who was kind of responsible for waking me up, actually, he was very into what was happening on the planet, truth, gold, the banking systems, and consequently he and I both went down a rabbit hole for a couple of years investigating what was happening on the planet. And I just, being a light worker, I just didn't know what to do with all that information. It was so massive. And there was little old me who'd just woken up. This was, 15, 16 years ago. But I innately knew my job was to help shift consciousness. And I knew if we could wake more people up to their power, then we could make a difference on this planet. Had no clue what that looked like. No clue whatsoever. But it was a driving force in me. And then that led me into personal development. And I've kind of a bit of a personal, I'm a junkie at heart. So, I've kind of anything to do with personal development. I love it. Which led me into spiritual development. And then I studied the principles of Dharma not that long ago, only about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was like somebody put a pair of glasses on and I looked at the world and saw the world in such a different way. And I was like, wow, I can see where I've been out of alignment with my path, my correct path. And I can see where I've been in alignment with it. And it was like, why does nobody know this stuff? Because it's absolutely simplistic, but groundbreaking. And then that led me into what I do today, which is I have a Dharma Life Academy. Basically, it's a school, an esoteric school where people come and we show them how to create their 5D visions. But not only that, we actually create an environment for them to bring that vision into existence. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years now. And we get some great results. And it's basically tuning people up, getting them to shift their vibration, and really getting them to create their own heaven on earth.
Wow. That's quite a mission statement.
It's fun. It's so fun. I think we have to be so careful at the moment. There's so much truth, there's so much unveiling, and it's only going to get more and more and more. But, your role is different to my role, and you kind of work out what you're here to do, what your job is. And I know my job is to help the vibration and actually help create the new earth. So the more people I can effectively help tune up, help step into their higher purpose, that will hold and manifest the future that we want. So
from the perspective of somebody watching this who has no idea what the new earth is or what 5D is or even 3D is, how do you explain that? And how did you come to find that stuff?
I spoke about Dharma and purpose predominantly. That was always my thing. And then I had what I would call another awakening. I think we awaken in stages. I don't think you can awaken all at once. It would just be too much. And so when COVID hit, suddenly all the dots joined. I was like, oh, okay, because I knew about the paedophilia, I knew about the banking systems, but I had no idea the extent of the human trafficking and of course about the deep underground bases, but all the dots joined for me. And then of course this ascension conversation made total sense because I'd known about the harmonic convergence. I'd known about, us essentially as a planet shifting and rising. But then I understood, okay, basically this is it. This is it. This is why we came. This consciousness shift that I've been working towards, this was it. So that's kind of where I then dived into the 5D rabbit hole. And the simplest way to describe it, for anyone listening, like, what is 5D? What the hell is all this stuff? All I would say is it's a shift in consciousness. That's the only way you to describe it. It's very simple, is we have got higher energy coming onto this planet and people are waking up and we are literally going to be going into higher states of awareness and consciousness. So when people say from 3D to 5D, they're saying humanity's evolving would be the simplest way to look at it. And I think it can get complicated and I think the easiest way to describe it to people is literally higher states of awareness.
So where did we come from?
Where do we come from? Well, I would say that we all have a soul, and our soul's been living many, many lifetimes. So, you know, my soul knows your soul, because as soon as we jumped on this call, you know, both of us experienced this whoosh, you know. And I got in my head, because I accessed the Akashic records, I got in my head that we'd had lifetimes together in Atlantis. So yeah, there you go.
Whoa. Oh, like, you know, I only found out recently that I'm Arcturian, right? And apparently they're the people behind.
Me too.
Oh, really?
Oh, no wonder that. Oh, no wonder.
This is weird. This is great. I'm loving this 5D stuff.
Maybe we are. Yeah, maybe we are even more connected than we realise. So, yeah, Arcturian. That's my heritage as well.
Yeah.
But so our soul has been around the block quite a few times, is the way I would look at it. And our soul is choosing to learn lessons. And obviously we are a spirit having a human experience. So your soul has integrated into this lifetime to experience certain things. So you choose, or the soul chooses what it wants to experience. So we are dropped into families. You know, and us light workers, usually the people who are here to do what we're doing now to help the ascension process, we've probably been given more difficult circumstances just purely as a catalyst to wake us up. We've been dropped into, you know, abuse. You know, we're definitely the generation of trauma breakers. You know, my background was depression and alcoholism in my family, but it was a catalyst. It was just a catalyst to wake me up to higher states of consciousness and higher states of awareness. So yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. And I also believe that we choose our life path. And I can tell you this because we just had this Arcturian moment, but I was reading a book the other day. I was reading Dolores Cannon, and I was just about to go to bed, and I thought, I'll just read a chapter. And I opened this book, and I always do that at random. I just opened this book and I thought, I'll just read this chapter. And it was called The Council. I started reading it, and it was about a woman who so Dolores Cannon, just for the listeners, I don't know if they're familiar with her, but she does past life regression. Yeah. So she takes people back into past life regression. So this lady was having a past life regression, and what the higher self was telling Dolores Cannon was that this lady had actually always had the mission of running an esoteric school. And actually she'd had that mission before she came down. And what was happening was that there was a team, there was a council behind her who had given her that mission, sent her to Earth, and then were supporting her in that creation of that school. And obviously she wasn't aware of that as a human. But of course I'm reading this book, and this woman's life story is absolutely parallel to mine. So I'm reading this story and I'm like, wow. And I have a way of checking in with my guides. And so I basically checked in with my guides to say, is this me? Is this my mission? Are you behind me? And I got yeses all the way through. So some of us obviously have kind of galactic heritage. Sorry, my dogs have decided to go mental in the back. Right. It's like Charlie Freak too.
Oh, Charlie Freak's on Charlie Ward today, I think. He's back.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he went dark for a few days. I saw your interview with him. That was brilliant. Well, lots of questions there. Some people, consciousness is interesting because I think some people that I know wouldn't even know what that word means. You know, consciousness. Awareness, yeah.
Yeah, how you view the world would be the way I would describe that.
What do you think about the people that, I don't know if you've got this, probably not in your circles anymore, but there's still some people in my extended circles that are online moaning about the people who are awake, are wondering why they're telling them to wake up and saying, you know, what have they got, some sort of religion? What's going on? And it's really strange when I read these posts.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, you know, I've got that around me as well. I'll be honest, online, I've had a clean up just because I couldn't be bothered with it. And I thought it was quite a good way of, again, shifting up and raising my vibration. But I think, again, I think we go through a process, and some people are blocked. You know, they can't necessarily, their third eyes aren't open. They can't see what is happening right now. They maybe be younger souls. or their contracts. I also believe we have contracts of when we're supposed to do certain things. So I'm sure you can probably relate to this. Like, I know it was just such a level of awakening when Corona hit for me around the next phase. It felt like it was almost agreed. And interestingly, my guides had given me books. A friend had lent me a couple of books, and it was all preparing me for what was going to happen with Corona. So I just think they're not contracted to wake up yet.
That's I agree with that. And there was a phrase that I learned years ago that I often say in the shower, which is like, everything's exactly as it's meant to be. It's just, you know, especially when I've been in really dark places and dark times. And I'm reminded of a friend who unfortunately lost her son to cancer when he was about 7. And at the time, I think she was teaching stuff about law of attraction and things like that. And she just couldn't understand that. I mean, it was so horrific for her that she was like, I can't believe in any of that stuff anymore. Wow. I just can't accept it. And she completely withdrew from it. And you know, I kind of saw a point. You know, it's really tough, that one, isn't it?
So, you know, Esther and Jerry Hicks. Do you know that name?
Yeah.
So he died of cancer, and so there's something called the shadow. So we have repressed parts of our personality, which we push into the shadow. And also we have feelings and emotions. Like you can say, oh, I'm going to be law of attraction and I'm going to pull in this and pull in that. But you have to be doing the healing work yourself as a human being, because you can't just focus on what you want and expect to get it and not heal your trauma and not become whole and not have a way of freeing up your stuck energy. So someone like that lady, if she hadn't dealt with the backlog of trauma that she had, that blocked energy or suppressed emotions, that would find, it's like her shadow saying, come on, you've got to integrate me. So that's why she would get a cancer or something like that, if she hasn't done that full kind of healing work. And that was a similar situation with Esther and Jerry Hicks, was that he talked about law of attraction all the time, but actually he didn't have his own. It's called the healing trap. We can get so focused on serving and helping others that we feed off that energy, but we're not doing our own work, which is our own healing work and our own healing modality. So, for example, myself, you know, I use Reiki to do self-healing. Otherwise, when you're leading a community, you've got to be very careful, because you're serving and helping them, but your energy is going into them. But it's also got to go into yourself, and you've got to rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I attuned to Reiki last year. I've got a table in the next room.
Great.
Yeah, I've got this handmade one from Dublin. It was a beautiful green leather thing, but nobody's been on it yet.
Well, do yourself just every day. That's the best.
Yeah, well, I did it on my son on a camping trip last year, because he's got bowel issues, and that was it was beautiful actually. Did it at sunrise. He was only 9 years old, and a wee lad. And he totally accepted it. I actually did it on a horse a couple of weeks ago. That was amazing. Pregnant horse.
Cool.
I was just like, I'm going to see what happens here. And it was just the horse. She almost fell asleep. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I bet she loved it. Absolutely.
She did, yeah. So, so you think we've won, right?
Totally, we've won.
Yeah, we've won.
Done. It's a done deal.
Well, we were having a chat just before, and you said, yeah, we've won, it's a done deal. And I know that inherently, but yesterday, I'm not going to explain what happened to me yesterday, but I had a wobble. I had a wobble because I explained, I'm not going to say it on air, but it was a wobble when suddenly I was like, oh my God, this is right on my doorstep, this evil stuff. And then I was like, well, of course it is. It doesn't matter where you are.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's on your doorstep, you know? And, I do feel like we've won, and I do feel like things are playing out. And you know, I'm still running a business, and I'm speaking to people who think I'm a little bit crazy, but they still work with me, which is nice. And I was talking yesterday. I said, look, basically, all the royal families have been arrested and some executed, and the same with all the prime ministers of the world. And you got a new financial system coming in, and we're all going to be loaded. And they just went, what? Drop the mic.
I know. You just sound like a loot. It's the same with me and my husband, and like, look, why don't take the money out of gold? Leave the money in gold. He's like, we don't know if we have to. I'm like, oh, he's just not listening.
Really? Well, yeah, those kind of conversations are good. But yeah, how does it look to you? What's your perspective on everything that's happening right now, and where we're at, and where we're going next, and what's it going to look like?
So the reason I know we've won is kind of looking at the astrological aspects of it. So we have gone from the Piscean age into the Leo Aquarius age. And the Leo Aquarius age is very much about personal sovereignty and us waking up to our personal sovereignty. And Earth going through an ascension process. And I think, as I described to you, you know, I am somebody that has this galactic connection, and we are divinely supported by races outside of, you should get your work people to listen to this, see what they think of this, but yeah. I genuinely believe that we're divinely supported in this process. So if you listen, like, I'm not a channeler, like I have a connection, I don't channel per se, but I go out and I listen to different channeled information and I assimilate it and I work out what I believe. And I really do believe, you know, that Trump was a chosen one. He is a chosen one. It's not just down to Trump. There's all these light workers that are on the planet doing their job, and we're holding that vibration and we are waking people up. And it will be, you know, an interesting 10-year process as we go through the changes. But I do believe the light has won. There's not even a doubt in my mind. So I just know I'm turning up to, you know, I know what my role is in it, and my role is to create more light workers.
Cool. And you mentioned the Akashic record earlier. For people who are listening and don't know what that is, as I understand it, the Akashic record is like everything that's ever happened or ever will happen, and it's all existing at the same time, and all knowledge is there, and you can tap into it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great because you can clear your karma. So Earth has been trapped in a karmic cycle. Basically, we have been, you know, think about the children, they've literally been, because when you have something experienced to you, like abuse, you come back to try and clean it up. Now, the dark forces know this, and they understand how to manipulate karma. So humanity has been trapped in a karmic cycle. Now, because of the amount of energy now coming in to the planet from the sun, because our frequency is rising, now we can do this work in the Akashic records a lot easier. So the Akashic records, the way I would describe it, is exactly like you, but you know, Google, imagine Google, you can type into Google anything you want. It's the same with the Akashic records. You can ask it any question you want, and you can get yes, no answers, but you can piece together what it is that you need to know. And with the Akashic records work, you can then clear past life blocks. So where it gets really exciting and interesting, and I do this work with clients, is, you know, I'd be able to go into your record, Mark, and I'd be able to see if you had any vows. So a vow of suffering, a vow of silence, a vow of poverty that you may be generated in a past life that is impacting you in this life. Or you might have made a contract. You know, it might be some contract where you had self-doubt, and that contract of self-doubt is carrying into this lifetime. So there are lots of different situations and things that have happened in past lives that mean we can create blocks and restrictions to our vital force energy. So again, easiest way to describe that, this is your soul, and your soul can develop blocks. So if you've got a vow, say you've got a vow of silence, that's almost like a plug in your soul, and it's stopping the amount of energy that you need coming into your body. So it would also influence you. So obviously in this life, you wouldn't be able to speak your truth. My husband had one, vow of silence, and it was hilarious because
he never spoke.
When we first got together, he was still getting, he was separated, but he wasn't divorced, and he was always really secretive about all of that stuff. And of course, if someone's quite secretive, it makes you a bit more nosy. It makes me a bit more nosy. And then about 3 years in, I'd kind of got used to him just keeping his cards close to his chest. And we did this work. I got into it, and then he came in and did some as well. And this lady removed his vow of silence, and suddenly he was just speaking his mind left, right, and centre. And I'm like, Matt, you can't say that. Like, we're in public, you know, like, because he had no filter. You know, he'd
I know what that feels like. I'm
you don't have a vow of silence.
No, I definitely don't have a vow of silence. I have a vow of getting into trouble, I think. That sounds interesting. I think I'd like to do that.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Pardon?
So what does it look like? You just, is it remotely? How long does it take?
Yeah, you would give me permission, first of all, to access your record, and then you'd give me your time and date of birth, and then I can go in and I can access your record on your behalf. And then we would go in and see your blueprint. So we go in and work out your soul's energy. So there's like 7 different types of vital force energy. So I can tell you now, you're probably a divine communication soul just because of what you're doing. I'm a divine communication soul. So, we like to do this. It's kind of, in our nature. So we go through that. We then tell you your soul group of origin. And then we go through and we look for the blocks and restrictions that you could have created in a past life that are influencing you in this life. And everybody's different. And also negative thought forms. A lot of us don't realize that obviously emotions and thoughts are energy. And if you're in a pattern and you think something over and over again, it will almost stick to you. The other thing that I do is I clear properties. So if you imagine you've had a sort of a really old farmhouse, a lady come to me the other day and she had a very old farmhouse. And not only did she have spirits and ghosts in the farmhouse, but she had a lot of, the lady before that was in the house had died, and she'd had quite a nasty illness in that house. And so the house had kind of taken on all that energy. And this lady was living in this energy. And of course, she couldn't work out how when she went out, she felt fine. But when she was in the house, she felt terrible. And of course, that energy was then stuck in the house.
I used to live in a 16th century barn, converted barn, which was right next to an airfield. And soon as we moved in there, it was awful, And the guy that owned it previously, he'd had cancer, and his marriage had broken down. And I remember... I had this kind of like horse, what do they call it? The stable door on the back door. And I'd been leaning out of the stable door having a cigarette in the evening. And then I noticed that outside it felt better than inside. And I opened the door and I was in their house going, well, this feels like this. And I stood outside. I was like, wow, this feels completely different. So then we found out that it was built on the site of a battle from years before.
Oh my goodness, wow.
And it was right next to this old Air Force base, which had, I then found out there were loads of buried Spitfire parts and stuff like that in the golf course that was next door. And we had that cleared. And as soon as we realized the energy was bad, immediately found a better house. Just then moved like really quickly. It was like,
yeah, you'd have been out of sync with the house.
You just bounced off it. It was, and it was, yeah. So that I 100% recommend anybody should get the Akashic records checked, but also the properties, because it's also really important for, if you're in business as well, to have a flow, it's coming to you. Because I find that in my life as a consultant with helping business people make more money make more of their businesses online, that's what I specialize in. Most of the people that came to me was like, oh, I'm not ranking at the top of Google, I'm not making enough money. It was usually nothing to do with their website. It was to do with them. And then I ended up becoming like a counselor. So, and what was funny for me when this pandemic started is that for the first 5 or 6 weeks, I just had thousands of messages from all over the world, from people that have been stalking me. Not actually, some people saying, what's going on? And I'm like, what are you asking me now for? What are you...
Now I want your opinion.
you've been posting about satanic paedophiles for the last 12 years. You must know something. So it's been really interesting because I'm, like this moving into 5D for me I've got absolutely no choice over this. When I started this channel, I was on a road trip with my son, and it was like I couldn't get rid of the thought of doing a video. Your soul. It was unbelievable. It was like doing a video. I'm getting this buzz now. I've got to do a video. And then I just stood there and said, right, son, hold the camera. Here we go. Blah, 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 blah. Right, upload it. Done. I'm off.
You've been in training. All that research.
And then I was on Charlie Ward's show, and I had like 80,000 views.
Wow.
What? This is mad. And then suddenly I'm writing poetry.
It's your high that you've been in training is the way I look at it. So
I know,
it's that
hilarious.
research that you've been doing, you were building for this period of time. And obviously, now you're at a point where your soul is like pushing you, going, right, come on, you need to do this. And you're listening. And this is my work, Mark. If people listen, you couldn't get that idea out your head. That's how it works. If you've got something that stays with you, it's because you need to action it. When you action it, it will go away. And then just quickly, so this Dharma stuff, this right path of action, essentially, when you are listening to your higher self, when you are listening to that inner voice, if you keep following those messages, you have to walk through the door. Because most people, they go, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. So they don't start. So you're in this right now. You walk through that door of doing that video, and the next thing you know, you're doing a Charlie Ward video, and it will keep happening like that now for you as long as you keep walking through the doors.
Yeah.
Most people want to know how it's going to look before they walk the path.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
I'm lucky in that respect because I'm a complete risk taker. I am. I don't think about the consequences. I just do it. I mean, literally, the wobble I had yesterday, I was actually thinking, right, I want to take down all my videos, disappear, go up and live in mountain. I don't want anybody to. It's really straight, and it was so. The buzz I got to say, no, you're doing the right thing, keep going. And then suddenly I was calm again, but it was quite amazing.
So just being told you got psychically attacked yesterday.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
That's why, you felt so bad.
Yeah. But amazingly, doing this, thank you for sharing that with me. Doing this podcast, I've got all these new friends who are like, there's a guy who, Leowen, who's on the channel, and I ring him up and say, can you just check? I've got any entities on me, and he sorts it out for me. And it's like, I've got all these helpers everywhere. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
And that's the collaboration thing. We're stronger together. The more we connect, the more we collaborate, unity consciousness.
Yeah. And I've never seen people, all the egos are going, when I started online, 20 odd years ago, and started teaching. I've done online courses that teach people how to do marketing stuff. It was very much, the culture was very much like I protected over here behind this wall, and you have to pay me lots of money to get into it. And I'm just not seeing that anymore. It's like everybody's just like, just share that. Come on my channel, share that. Who cares? Let's just get it done. And it's actually really, really wonderful.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful.
Totally how it works. What you put out in the world comes back to you. So the more we connect, the more we collaborate, life is a mirror. It's shown back to you. And people get that now, I think. Like you said, we're moving out of ego. We're moving into this higher self place. We're moving into this more connected place.
Well, I when I first found out about 5D, it was about 7 years ago. And I struggled. I really struggled trying to picture it. I was like, does that mean we're going to die and then get reborn? Does that mean there's another planet? We're going to another planet? Is this a planet? Is it a realm? Teza said it was a realm. Is space real? Is an Arcturian or a Palladian an ET? Or is it just a state of consciousness? So there's all these kind of questions. I still don't really know what it's going to, but I am experiencing it on a daily basis. And it's like I'm starting to get it. As you said, your awakening comes in stages, and you have to go through the process yourself. You can't just paint a picture for somebody, because when you're there, right?
And I think we manifest and create our reality, and it will be dependent on our vibration. So if we use this analogy of life as a mirror, and we are energy, everything's energy, and obviously those of us that are holding a higher state of consciousness and a higher state of awareness are on a different vibration to maybe people living in the matrix. So, for example, as you learn to manipulate energy, for example, now when I go out, I clear where I'm going. So I will clear the route to Sainsbury's, I'll clear Sainsbury's, like we're talking about reptilians or whatever. I just clear all of that out of my space, meaning that I float through life, and I don't have cues. Because I'm creating what I want to happen, and people forget that intention is so powerful. So we're just becoming more mindful. And so for me, 5D is a reflection of the state of consciousness that the individual's at. And so if you're in this higher state of awareness, you're just going to experience flow in life.
How good is that?
It's awesome.
It is, isn't it?
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, and our psychic gifts are opening up as well, which is just incredible, and it's only going to get better and better and better.
But in the meantime, I dropped off my daughter this morning, and she put her mask on to go into school. And I had this, I'm like, okay, I'm creating this. How do I stop creating this? How do I decreate the fact that my kids have got to wear masks in school? And to the point where, you know, it's actually getting to them, you know?
Yeah.
So this continuation of this nonsense, am I creating it? Is it my fault?
The continuation of this nonsense. No, but then how you respond to it is your choice. So, you know, like personally, I would take them out of that school and just home educate them. I think that's also going to be.
Well, you know, that was an option, but I'm separated from my wife, and she's, you know, they really want to go to see their friends. I mean, we homeschooled them for 3 years in Marrakesh, and the problem then was that they hadn't socialised enough, and then they wanted to see. So they, you know, they're at the age where they really want to hang out with their friends, but you know, they're at school like this. And my son was saying last night that the master's really just ruined. You know, he's at a new school, and he's like, well, the school's good, but you know, everybody's subdued.
And they've got their own path, haven't they? So they'll
that's the other thing.
you when they want to move. It'll come to you and they'll say, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. And you'll go, okay. That's
exactly what I will do. Yeah. I'm going to go for a walk in the woods and down by the beach today, I think, and just get a bit of grounding. What do you do on a daily basis? So you say that you sounds like you've got like rituals. Would you call it that? Or
yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, like so for me,
you know, when you wake up in the morning,
Reiki. So that's the first thing I do. Is
do you?
Yeah, I Reiki. So you know, at the moment, I get woken up about 4:30. And so I just lie in bed and do my self-healing, and probably do that for about half an hour. And sometimes I fall asleep and I wake back up again, and you know, and then I get up and do meditation. So I'm not a massive meditator, not like my husband, but you know, 20 minutes to half an hour. Ground myself, so visualize roots of the trees, visualize roots coming out through the bottom of my feet. And then I open up my 7th chakra and I visualize high vibrational energy coming into my chakra system. And obviously that way you're connecting all your light bodies. And then I visualize the light coming into my stomach, and then the light growing and growing and growing around me. And that is a way of putting in my like God self, my 5D self. And then I'll probably do that a couple of times a day. If I'm going out, I would do that again. And then I just clear wherever I'm going. I clear before we get on calls. I check to see if we've got karma. Because if you and I have got past life karma, we've had past lives, we didn't have any karma. You know, we'd have problems in our conversation. We wouldn't necessarily flow. So I don't want any of that. I'd clear that. It's just being a bit more mindful, I suppose, of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And then closing things down when we finish. So at the moment, we're exchanging energy.
Yeah.
And then when we finish, I want to cut those cords so we don't stay interconnected. And off I go, and you do your thing, and off I go, and you do my, you know.
You've got a lovely way of explaining it all. There's no wonder you're so good at teaching well, and this is your calling, isn't it?
I like to take things that are complicated and make them simple because I'm quite simple myself. So I like to make them quite simple.
Yeah, I love the way you explain it. And so if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
By all means, when will this go out, Mark?
Whenever you want it to.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm just literally day 2 of my Follow Your Highest Excitement challenge. So I'll give you the link for that. But basically, it's Aloise.life /FYHE. But just very quickly, as I said, we're creating a community of people who are building their 5D life vision. And so I'm doing a free challenge at the moment in a Facebook group, and you can come and join. And I'm explaining the type of things I've been explaining on this, on this call here today, and how people can step into their 5D selves, how they can create a 5D vision for their life. I take them through a process of looking at their current reality and what's keeping them stuck. I also then get them to see about their beliefs, because, what we believe, we create.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to offer them the chance to come and join our academy. So our academy is like a monthly membership subscription. It's 50 quid a month. and we hold you accountable and teach you something every single month. And at the same time, we're helping you hold that space and helping you pull in that vision. So we've had some good results with people who have gone from kind of corporate jobs into creative or into the healing arts, because it's a process of shedding those skins and coming back to who we really are and having confidence in who we are and getting ourselves out there and doing our soul work.
Well, it sounds fantastic, and you certainly shine like we've not actually met, but you shine like a beautiful light, and I've got a little mental checklist now. I'm going to go and work on myself, because I do tend to just dive into work and forget to look after myself. It's my biggest problem.
Yeah, and I can relate. Please don't think I'm like perfect. I'm very lucky. My husband is the opposite. He's incredibly good at self-care. And so I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, I am.
But because he's really balanced, he then helps balance me out. But I think I've also got to the stage where I've really learned it's a false economy. Actually, the more I look after my own energy, things are much quicker and much easier. So it's worth, I didn't always used to be like that. I would only say that since lockdown, is that I really got, okay, do it Reiki twice a day, because you can do this on yourself. It's so nice and easy to do. And do it twice a day. And I'm not grumpy with my husband. I'm not grumpy with my dogs. I'm really, really positive, high state. It's worth doing. And actually things flow and it's much easier because I'm drawing energy from source. I'm not stealing off other people. Yeah,
exactly. Well, wise words from, would you call yourself a sage?
I don't know about that.
Good word, isn't it? It just came into my head. Well, probably because there's a sage stick over there.
I'm going to take that as a compliment now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take it as a compliment.
It's a compliment. Look, that's really, really positive stuff. I mean, basically we've just won, and let's just enjoy it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Watch it play out, enjoy it. 80-20 is my rule. I like to know what's going on 20% of the time, but 80%, if anything, we've learned, right? They have been controlling our reality through films, through media, through education. Now you've got that power back. What are you going to make? What are you going to create?
Yeah.
If you've got your head in a rabbit hole 100% of the time, which was me again at the beginning of lockdown, that's what your energy is going into. 80-20. Be well informed, know what's happening, but focus on you. What do you want? Let's build this new 5D Earth together.
Beautiful way to end it. Thank you very much, Eloise.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to. Tag me on Instagram and I will reshare your post, and please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.